Hello everyone, Lancel here, and today I've got my hands on the Mists of Pandaria Beta version 1.5.508, and I am happy to showcase all of the new stuff to you in this build right here, right now. So sit back and relax, can't talk, and enjoy all of the descriptions of all the changes that I'm going to go over right now. So you notice this is the spec UI. You just simply click on it and activate it. Based on if you're primary or secondary spec. So right now my secondary spec is arms. You're just given the skills that the spec prescribes. So let me just go over a couple things here. Mortal Strike is standard. Slam is instant now, and it does pretty beefy damage, costs 30 rage. Mortal Strike is still the same old, gives 10 rage with a 6-second cooldown. Overpower is pretty much the same. Die by the Sword is a new skill where you activate it and you have 100% chance to parry and 20% reduced damage, so that's really cool. Might throw that with defensive stance or something to reduce even more damage, but it's basically just a little mini cooldown for DPS warriors. Prot warriors do not get it. It's arms and fury only. It's got a 5-second duration and a 2-minute cooldown, but it's going to be very nice and very ample for when you pull aggro. Or if you've got something attacking you waiting for a tank to take it off you. Very handy. Colossus Smash the same. Keep in mind again, it still costs 30 rage, 20-second cooldown, can be reset by sudden death. But notice here the weapon damage. It does 175% weapon damage, which means it's going to do more damage than the likes of Mortal Strike, but less than Slam. Strikes of Opportunity got a little bit of nerf. It's no longer 100% weapon damage. It's just 55, but that's from the tuning of all the other skills. Also, the chance for the extra attack has gotten reduced a little bit. I'm not sure what the exact conversion is yet because it doesn't really matter until, again, the last beta build. Seasoned Soldier, same old 20% damage increase. Whirlwind, same old. Blood and Thunder, same old. One thing to mention is that Mortal Strike does apply deep wounds, I believe. Hold on a second, I'll double check that. But it does apply a dot. I guess it does. Only Fury does that. Oh, there it goes. Deep wounds is the rend replacement. Again, you can see it taking on the target. It does pretty decent damage. It's based solely on attack power, and it will tick 5 times every 3 seconds, starting from the 3rd second after you apply the Mortal Strike. So, just like so, and then you can see the deep wounds start taking on that later. It does not override itself. It's just the same damage every time, so you can't stack it, unfortunately. Sweeping Strikes, same deal, and Sudden Death, same deal. No longer affects execute, just the resetting of the Colossus Smash. Now you might be wondering, what does the rotation look like now with the arms? The biggest change here is that your Taste for Blood just gives you the overpower right after the Mortal Strike. There's no relationship between it and Deep Wounds or Rend anymore. It's just you use Mortal Strike, you get a Taste for Blood, one after the other, and that's it. But in addition, instead of only getting Taste for Blood from Mortal Strike, you can also get Taste for Blood from an Overpower, which is a 30% chance. So 100% chance after the Mortal Strike, you get Overpower. 30% chance after overpower you can get another overpower. So it is possible to do, Mortal Strike and then overpower 3 times in a row if you get lucky, triggering the 30% chance and 30% chance after that and 30% chance after that. So I can demonstrate this fairly easily, obviously. Mortal Strike, get overpower, didn't get lucky. Mortal Strike, overpower, didn't get lucky. And your strongest attack is actually going to be the slam itself, but it's going to cost the highest number. You see I got the double overpower there. And all you're doing is basically you Mortal Strike and then overpower and slam in any free space that you have. Because obviously you can't slam all the time because it costs too much. What I found is I tend to want to sometimes when you get multiple overpowers, your rating is very high, and in that case you will just right here I probably want to slam first and then use my overpower because I don't want my rage to cap out. Double overpower again. So right there, you cap out if you use too many overpowers. Obviously the slam does more damage, so you want to use that instead if your rate is high. Alright. So that's the basic gist of the arms rotation. It's just you're going between Mortal Strike, Slam, Overpower, and Colossus based on how much rage you have and how you're feeling. There's really no 100% straight formula to it. It's very simple and straightforward. And really the difference between the specs is not very different. It's just which damage abilities are you using. So for example, if I were to switch to Fury, I'd be using a little bit different rotation skills, and everything else is pretty much the same. So let's talk about Fury for a second. Oh yeah, one last thing about arms is that you get Blood and Thunder. Let me go back to this actually. Okay. So the Blood and Thunder is very strong because the Deep Wounds actually does a lot of damage compared to, Mortal Strike does 14k. Deep Wounds can do 5k. So if you have a lot of targets around you, your Deep Wounds going to be doing a lot of damage. All right. Okay, so now I'm Fury. With Fury, you want to put your strongest weapon in your offhand because of Wild Strike. You're going to be using Wild Strike the most often, and Wild Strike is offhand damage. And especially if you have a Gertlak sword, then you want to use it in offhand because that's what it's going to proc from the most, because you're using offhand attack the most. Very strange, I know. Alright, so you got your standard Bloodthirst, which is on a 6-second cooldown. However, it's got a 40% extra chance to crit compared to any other ability. And this is fine because the Bloodthirst is kind of a weak attack. And you'll learn that once you get into the beta and start playing around with it. Wild Strike is a very strong attack. It does 270% weapon damage. So like I said, you want to have your strongest weapon offhand. And this is the ability that you're going to want to use the most because it does the most damage, but you are going to be capped by Rage. And it's really interesting because it makes Raging Blow kind of obsolete. because they cost the same, and Wild Strike is going to do way more damage than Raging Blow on average. So right now it doesn't really make sense to use Raging Blow. I don't know why they tweaked it like this, but we'll see later on. So Raging Blow really isn't, you know, worth it, and I'll show it to you. You can just see that, you know, do about 16k with a Raging Blow, and crit for 36 with a Wild, hit for 19 with a Wild. So it's obviously the Raging Blow is kind of useless, because you can just Wild Strike instead for more damage for the same cost. Single-Minded Fury and Titan's Grip you learn simultaneously, so again, you don't need to you can seamlessly switch between both styles without having to change specs. Alright, that's one convenience. Again, Die by the Sword is in the spec as well. You have your Flurry, which is now on chance to hit. The Mastery has been changed, where you get a damage increase while you are enraged, instead of it affecting your enrage effects. So you get enraged by either using Berserker Rage or critting an attack. You will do extra. You get extra rage generation, and also with the Mastery for Fury, you will get extra damage. So when you have enraged turned on, you'll do 20% more damage. And I believe enrage is a. Let's figure how long it is. I'm just looking at the spell book. Let's see. Passive skills. Enrage is a 6-second duration, so it's pretty short. You get really kind of low crit chance. So, not sure exactly how much the Mastery is worth yet, but let's see. Oh yes, Blood Surge. Blood Surge is amazing because it severely reduces the cost of the Wild Strike and makes its global cooldown much shorter. So when the Blood Surge goes off, you're going to be using Wild Strike 3 times in the amount of space that normal Wild Strikes would fit into, and for 1/3 the rage cost. So it's extremely nice. Meat Cleaver is Fury only, the same old Meat Cleaver. When you're doing AoE, you'll be switching into a Berserker stance with a macro and spamming Cleave and Whirlwind, and you'll be stacking up Meat Cleaver. And again, Berserker stance is going to boost the damage of your Cleave and Whirlwind only, whereas Battle Stance will be 10% damage to all of your attacks. And there's no rage drop when you change stances at all, so it's just, you know, whatever you're going to be doing, you'll be in that stance, and there's no penalty whatsoever. And Colossus Smash the same. So when looking at a rotation for Fury, it's going to be, I'm just going to like start at like 50 or something. It's going to be severely bound by your rage. So I got a Blood Surge proc here. I'm going to do 3 Wild Strikes in a row, and you can see they do quite a bit of damage. I'm not going to use Raging Blow whatsoever. And I'm just going to see, you just want to kind of try to get by as many Wild Strikes as possible. You're not going to be able to do a lot. You might have to skip one and get Rage Starved or whatever. So in that regard, it's, I would say it's a little bit less damage than Arms right now, just due to the fact that you're not going to have Rage to do much. And you're just basically hitting 2 buttons, and that's it. With your occasional Colossus Smash. And since you're rage capped, and you'll have some free space to use Shout to boost up your rage a little bit. And if for some reason you get rage capped at all, you can tap a Heroic Strike, and you'll go back down quite easily. If you're able to track your enrage effect for your increased rage generation, what you can do is you can hit Berserker Rage to fill in the gaps. And by turning on that enrage, you will gain that increased rage generation and damage. But like I said, guys, it's pretty boring so far. You just do Bloodthirst, Colossus, and Wall Strike. It's fairly simple. Now with Fury, because there's a lot of free space compared to arms, you're going to want to go to your talents to free the space. So what I'm going to do is, not to free the space, but to fill in the space. I've got a couple free attacks here in my talents that I'm just going to put in here. So I've got a Shockwave and an Impending Victory, which is basically the same thing as Victor, that is free. It's on, you know, a little short cooldown. So if I run out of rage, I'm going to do either Shout or Impending Victory or Shockwave to fill in the gap. So I'm out of rage here. Oh, you get a Blood Surge prompt, I'm not out of rage. Okay, I'm out of rage, so I'm just going to Shockwave. Out of rage, I'm going to Impending Victory. Put this free. And it's just, you gotta do what you can do. If you can't do it, then tough luck. Alright, so that's pretty boring. Alright. And that's really the main difference between arms and Fury, and that's it. I want to take a look at some of these new skills here. Let's look in the spellbook. Alright, you'll notice that the spellbook is divided between active abilities and passive abilities. The passive abilities will list everything. Pretty self-explanatory. Some of the active abilities have changed, however. Let's look at them. First one, Die by the Sword, I've already covered it. Disarm, no rage cost. Let's see. Heroic Throw, reduced to 30-second cooldown, but damage halved. Intimidating Shout is 1 minute cooldown now. Almost 15-second cooldown now, but it's free. Let's see. Shouting Throw is the same. Spell Reflect is free. Alright, so not very interesting there. Let's look at the different talents. Changing the talents, all it does is require a dust. Well, I guess it's not working. But I think if you respec, you can change the talents. Again, guys, this is the beta, so everything's really buggy. It's just some things are barely working. So let's look at these talents here. Juggernaut's pretty straightforward. Instead of a 20-second cooldown, you've got a 12. Double time, you can charge twice before it incurs the cooldown. There's once, and there's twice. After the first charge, you get a buff that will allow you to use it. If you get it to cooldown again, I'll show you the buff. Okay, so my charge is finished cooling down. I'm going to charge once, and you can see the double time buff up here, 20-second duration, before I can use it again, and then it goes away. And then it puts a cooldown on the charge, so that's how it works. Alright. Since I can't remove this, maybe I can just respec. Interesting. Alright, so we'll just respec each time we want to change our talent. It's very annoying, but I can make it work. Okay. Orbring is pretty straightforward. Nothing to see there. Let's look at Enrage Regen. Alright, so this is going to require an Enrage effect, but it's free. You can see the healing there. 10% to start and 1% every second. Not really a huge deal, but it is a shorter cooldown. I personally don't like it because it's, you know, not very powerful, and it requires that enrage effect, so it's very annoying to use. Alright, I'm gonna respec and choose a different talent. Second one's pretty straightforward. Whenever you're struck by a stun, you get 20 rage and a heal over 10 seconds. It's going to be fairly nice in leveling situations, and it's going to be a GCD that you don't have to hit, compared to Enrage Regen or Impending Victory requires a GCD. If you want something you don't have to worry about ever, just pick Second Wind, but if you want something, you know, more tactical, then you pick either one of the other two. But again, like I said, Enrage Regen, not that great because it requires to be enraged, and you don't want to have to sacrifice your Berserker Rage or whatever to activate it, and it's just another button press. So for convenience purposes, I would recommend choosing Impending Victory. So Impending Victory is just straight up heal, and it's pretty nice heal because you can glyph it for 50% more, up to 15%, and it can be used without having to kill a enemy. And it's got a 30-second cooldown, as you can see. It does also do damage, so that's great. So it can be used as a free attack when at a period if you don't have rage, and it also, the cooldown does reset when you kill an opponent, so that's very nice. Let's take a look at I'll have to go into a mob area to show you some of these things here. Let's look at Shockwave. Shockwave is free, but you can just, you know, standard Shockwave, pretty decent damage, not great. A little bit less than Mortal Strike on a 20-second cooldown. Can't really show you Vigilance. I can't show you the 90 tier because I'm not 90. They did remove Avatar from the tier 60 and move it into tier 90. I'm really interested to show you guys Dragon Roar, but I have to go to a mob zone to show you that. So let's go ahead and do that right now. There's a good place. Fulbrad, maybe? I don't know. It's a place with a lot of mobs in it. I want to show you some of the glyphs. Okay, for some reason I can take the portal. Awesome. The portals in this build, most of them don't even work, and it's a real pain to get around anywhere. Every time you zone, your character disappears, and that's also very annoying. So I'm just going to fly out here and find a bunch of mobs. I'm going to take a look at some of this stuff. Let's check out Warbringer. Let's check out Staggering Shout. Let's check out Mass Spell Reflect. Alright, let me get a couple mobs here. Alright, what am I showing first? I'm showing Warbringer. So we charge and it's knocked down. You can see the knockdown and he's stunned for a little bit. Pretty cool. Kill these guys off real quick. Alright, so I have a shield on. Staggering Shout. So I'm going to snare this guy. And so now he's rooted. You can see the little ground effect there. It's a short root. Let's see. What else am I doing? Mass Spell Reflect. He's not even going to hit me with anything. Alright, yeah, he is. So we're going to do a Mass Spell Reflect, and it's going to reflect two things, hopefully. The first one, and the second one didn't reflect because the buff wore off, as you can see. So we'll have to get another mob to show that. Alright. Just waiting for my Spell Reflect cooldown. Alright, let's get them casting at the same time. There's one, and so I got 3 reflects off that time. Pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to reload UI because I can't see my character. Very annoying. Alright. Okay, let's check out Blade Storm, see if that's changed at all. Okay, where is that puppy? Put it on V. Same old stuff, not really that exciting. Alright, let's check out Dragon Roar. And for Dragon Roar, I'm actually going to go in a place with a lot more mobs in it. Where would that be? Let's go to the Molten Front. So I know there's a lot of shit over there. I don't even remember where this place is. Oh yeah, it's in here. Okay, where's my dragon roar? So you can see it does not require any rage. You just go up and I'm gonna find an ample AoE spot. So that's pretty beefy. It's quite a bit of damage and knocks back. Let me gather a couple more mobs to do it again. Well, I guess I died because I'm a moron. I don't have any snaring talents, and my dragon roar was on pull after too long. But I'll do better next time. So that's dragon roar. Get this guy off of me. Holy shit, I'm dying. Okay. Safeguard is an intervene replacement. It's going to remove roots on you and give your target a 20% damage reduction for 6 seconds. Not bad for tanks. This tier of talents is basically the tanking tier. You can get tanking skills as a DPS effect, so that's pretty cool. Vigilance, I think, will be the standard of choice for DPS warriors because you might get an enrage effect out of it based on who you place it on. You might not want to place it on a tank in a raid because you're probably going to die because it does transfer 30% of the damage. But it might have some pretty interesting implications as far as multiple warriors having multiple vigilance and, you know, like as a vigilance chain or something. There might be some buggy thing with damage transfer or whatever. I'm not sure how that's going to work as far as the enrage effect goes, but this is the thing that you probably want to take. Disrupting Shout is pretty much an AoE silence. Not very interesting to see. So that's it for talents, really. The glyphs is a completely new system. No longer are there 3 tiers of glyphs. There are just 2, major and minor. So I'm going to go back to... I can't go back because my hearth is down. So I'll just have to stay outside here. So you have 3 major glyph slots and 3 minor glyph slots. And you can see here that there are a lot of choices for major glyphs. And all of these major glyphs are pretty much taken out of old talents or old skills that we used to have in Cataclysm, and they roll them into glyphs. Like, for example, the cooldown reduction on Heroic Leap. Used to be a Fury talent, now it's a glyph that can be used by either spec. Blitz used to be an arms talent, now it's a glyph that can be used by either spec. So that's pretty cool. The cleave glyph is really interesting because you can cleave up to 5 targets instead of 2. So if you're enraged, you can cleave up to 5 targets, and I'll show that to you. I do have the glyph installed here, so let's go find some guys, get enraged, and gather some guys up. Okay, this is kind of annoying, so... Alright, I am enraged now, and you can see my cleave is hitting a lot of stuff. Pretty awesome. Alright, so that's the cleave glyph. Let's see. Colossus Smash, same old. Cooldown reduction on Sleep. Enrage speed. I've tried this, but I couldn't make it work. But I think what's going to happen is after you crit, you get enraged, and then it's going to make you run faster for 6 seconds. I think this would be ridiculously good, and any spec should take it really at any time, because move is something that's really coveted as a melee class. Being able to move anywhere, being able to enhance the movement abilities that you already have, be able to close the distance and start DPSing as soon as possible. I think that would be amazing. Furious Sundering, free Sunder. I really think Sunder should be free in the first place. I don't know why that's the glyph or why Sunder still costs rage, but you've got a gag order glyph. You've got the glyph of hamstring is the second hamstring after the first one will be free. You've got a shield block glyph for prot, which makes your next shield do 50% more damage after a shield block. And for you proc guys, the shield block is now on a 1.5 second cooldown, but it's got a heavy rage cost, so this could be up all the time. Glyph of Hoarse Voice is going to... This is a really silly glyph because Shout is something that you're not going to be using all the time anyway. Why would you want to reduce the cooldown on it? I don't see that as a nice major glyph slot. Long Charge is still in here. Glyph of Mortal Strike and Glyph of Bloodthirst, they affect the healing aspect of them, not the damage. So for example, Glyph of Bloodthirst doubles the healing of the Bloodthirst, and when you Mortal Strike, healing effects on you are increased by 10%. So they don't affect damage, they affect healing. Actually, really none of these glyphs affect any kind of direct damage or any kind of damage increasing modifier on your abilities. It's just kind of these neat little effects that might affect the damage indirectly. And the cleave glyph is, one of the prime examples of it actually possibly increasing damage, but not guaranteed. Let's see. Where was I? Okay, these three. Glyph of Overpower increases the damage of your next Overpower by 10% after a cleave. And this is really interesting because if you're cleaving, you're going to want to be in Berserker stance, and if you're doing Overpower, you're going to want to be in Battle stance. Maybe for alternating between cleave and Overpower, but I don't really see us doing that. I see us either doing AoE or doing single target and not in between. I really don't see the connection between the two, because the way that it's set up in this patch is, it's very modal. Like, you're either cleaving or in whirlwinding and doing AoE, or you're doing single target. I don't really see any situation where you're doing both at the same time. So I don't really understand this glyph very well and why it would take a major slot. Again, there's so many choices to pick from, and only 3 slots. Maybe they should have made a 4th and a 5th slot. I don't know. Some of these are really not that great. Glyph of Raging Wind, kind of the same deal. When you Raging Blow, your next Whirlwind would be 10% more damage. I think that doesn't really make sense because Raging Blow is kind of shitty right now anyway. I don't know. I just don't see the correlation between single target and Whirlwind. It's either, one or the other. You guys all know this Glyph of Recklessness removes the damage penalty from it. Resonating Power, more of a tanking glyph. Root Interruption, same deal. Old Talent into a glyph. A Shield Slam, same deal. Old Talent into a glyph. Actually, it wasn't a talent. This was built into the actual skill itself. But it's 100% guaranteed to dispel something instead of a % chance. Shield Wall, same thing. Spell Reflect glyph, same thing. Sweeping Strike glyph, same thing. Thunderclap glyph, same thing, increases the range. This would be pretty nice for arms with Blood and Thunder because the deep wounds damage is really good. Victory Rush glyph, this works really, really well with Impending Victory. Because the Impending Victory heal is 10% without killing a target and 20% with killing a target. So if you use the Victory Rush glyph, that will turn into 15% without killing a target and 30% heal with killing a target. So it's a really, really nice heal, especially when you're leveling. You can take on large mobs, higher level mobs, and go between them with very little downtime because your self-healing is so good as a warrior. It is so good. You have so many things that will allow you to self-heal. And now, Glyph of Whirlwind. This really isn't that great either, because you're turning Whirlwind into a persistent, frequent attack into more of a bursting attack. And the damage on Whirlwind isn't that great anyway. So normally the Whirlwind cooldown is 6 seconds, and the damage is 35% weapon damage, so pretty weak. Buffing that to by 50%, again, still a weak attack. And still, why would you want to increase its cooldown to 9 seconds? So if you have a 7-second window to do Whirlwind, you want to be able to do 2 times Whirlwinds, 2 6-second cooldown Whirlwinds instead of 1 9-second Whirlwind. So that doesn't really make sense. I don't like this glyph at all. And the minor glyphs are kind of more. They change the aesthetics. They change animations. They don't really do anything. They just make things look cooler. Okay, let me see if I can. I can't go back to Stormwind right now. try to make my way back to town. I can show you some of these glyphs here. Where the hell am I? Okay. Alright, so some of these I can show you right here in the open, I guess. Burning Anger. I have this glyph installed, so let's use it. Let me reload. You can't see my character. Alright, now you can see my character. When you enrage, you have this little like fiery effect go off above your head, which is stupid because the actual enrage like effect covers the fire. Maybe I can pop it in rage without using Berserker. Let's try that. Maybe you can see the fire above my head. Let's attack a scorpion. Okay, so I'm just gonna auto attack, see if I can get a crit, and you can see the fire come above my head. Alright, so I didn't get a crit, didn't get enraged. Alright, let's go here. Maybe I have bloodthirst. No crit. Alright. Alright. This is... Alright. So, again, when you get enraged, you got the little enraged face pop above your head, and then the little fiery thing behind it. So it's really hard to see. It's not very, you know, I was thinking, you know, the first time that I saw this, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to catch on fire, right, when I get enraged, and that's awesome, but it didn't really, it's very underwhelming. Glyph of Bloody Healing. When you have deep wounds on a target, your bandages do 20% more. Again, really useless. Only really situational, maybe in arena or PvP. You know, I don't know. Hamstring somebody, put deep wounds on them, and bandage yourself. Big freaking whoop. Let's try Crow Feast here. Oh, yeah, Burning Anger we already saw, so let's try Crow Feast. So apparently I'm going to execute something and a bunch of crows are going to come down. Let's try it. Let's pull this guy over here. Where's my crows? Let me get my crows. Apparently didn't do anything. Interesting. So maybe we'll see that put into a build later on. Oh, Enduring Victory is kind of cool. Anytime you victory rush or impending victory, you grow bigger. So let's check that out. I'm going to use impending victory, which I don't have. Let's learn it. Okay, I'm going to use it. And I just grew bigger. And it's going to last for a little bit, and then you grow smaller again. I use it and grow bigger. Oh, I didn't use it. Okay. Grow bigger. So that's that glyph. Pretty interesting. I like that because, you know, as a warrior you want to be big. Rawr. I don't know. Gushing Wound. Your bloodthirst crits are even bloodier than normal. Alright, let's see what this looks like. I'm going to want to see blood spurts. Really big ones. Again, can't really see shit, so I mean, I don't know. These minor glyphs are kind of stupid. Mystic Shout. When you shout, you levitate for a second. Interesting, but kind of underwhelming. This is my favorite though, the Thunder Strike. When you thunderclap, lightning comes out. Alright, so let's do that. Obviously really cool. That's my favorite one, I think. So that's really it for the glyphs. Interesting. Let's see, did I miss anything? Not really. What you see is what you get. A lot of warrior things were taken out. No, you're gonna have a lot less buttons than you did before, to be honest. So that's a good thing generally. Let's see. Pretty sure there were a couple new things in the interface, but I forgot what they were. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yes. Where is this? Where is this? Let me try to find it here. Buffs and debuffs. If you have consolidated buffs and debuffs turned on, shit, I can't have more than one. I need to be in a party to see this. But you know how if you have consolidated buffs and debuffs turned on, there'll be this little thing up here, this little box, and if you hover your mouse over it, it'll show you the buffs and debuffs that you have. But in this in Pandaria, there are only 8. There are only 8 raid buffs and debuffs. And if you're in a party, it will show you, okay, I have 4 out of 8 buffs and debuffs. If you hover your mouse over that consolidated debuffs icon, it will pull up a list of which buffs you have and which buffs you are missing. So it's really cool. Like before a pull, you look up to your consolidated buffs and debuffs and say 7 out of 8, and then you automatically know, hey, I'm missing something. You hover your mouse over it and it will tell you what you're missing so that you can yell at whoever needs to put that up. So that's a really cool thing. There's really not much else to go over at this point. I believe I've covered everything in Arms and Fury. I've covered the talents. I've covered the changes. We looked at a rotation. We looked at some of the skills. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to be doing this kind of video for every build, and for any time any of this stuff changes, I'll just do a quick, short one. Like if they, if they tweak an ability's weapon damage or something, then I will gladly make a video to cover that and how it affects maybe rotation or what have you. Oh yes, one thing that I did forget is Heroic Strike and Cleave are now weapon damage based attacks instead of attack power based. And since Enrage was removed, they went ahead and made both Cleave and Heroic Strike have a 1.5 second cooldown. So you can see, you can clearly Heroic Strike every 1.5 seconds, or Cleave every 1.5 seconds, and they do still share the cooldown. But that's an interesting change. What else? Notice the difference in weapon damage between Heroic Strike is 100% weapon damage, and Bloodthirst is 100% weapon damage. So the Bloodthirst is kind of weak in the damage department. So you're just gonna have to, realize that it's not gonna be the same, and it's not gonna feel the same either. It's gonna feel very strange. Let's see. They did change some of the. Let's see here. Any ability that does attack power based damage is just going to show up as a flat number. Like for example, Impending Victory. This is a attack power based ability. It's going to show how much damage it does without armor and stuff right there on the tooltip. So it says 11,375. Alright, that's attack power based. And then you have Bloodthirst, which would be weapon damage based. So it says, okay, 100% weapon damage plus, you know, whatever. Yeah. So when you get the beta and when you play around, you really want to look at, you know, what weapon damage does it do, because everything's going to change and everything's different than how it used to be in Kata. So definitely look at that. Also, I think they changed the expertise levels. They reduced the amount of rating required for 1%, but they also increased the amount of expertise needed to remove all dodges. So as you can see here, a boss target, I have 6.5% expertise, which would, in a Cataclysm situation, be the dodge cap, right? But it's showing me on a boss that, you know, I still have 1% dodge. So that tells me, okay, the dodge requirement has been increased to 7.5 instead of 6.5. And as you can see here, since I don't have my throwing weapon anymore, my expertise, I have less expertise, but it's still 6.5%. So I have 667 expertise rating for 6.5% dodge, instead of where in Cataclysm you need 781 for the 6.5% dodge. So that's changed a little bit. All the other rating conversions have stayed the same, like crit and hit have stayed the same, and haste and mastery, I believe, also has stayed the same. Let me just confirm that real quick. Yeah, mastery, the conversion is still the same. So that is it, guys. Thank you for watching and sticking through it. I didn't edit this video, obviously. I just kind of went and did it, kind of conversational presentation style. So make sure to subscribe, and every single build that I will put up, a video like this. And again, this was build 15508 in this Pandaria beta. We'll see you guys later.